Hello guys, welcome back to our next part of the series where we are making this month's tag application called Party RSVP app. So in the last part, what all we have done is just this UI, which is nothing but just few static components. Okay, so we can't really interact with our application. We can't really add, remove, edit or filter, or these numbers are even in this table are totally static. Okay, so what from this video what we're going to do is start to make our application interactive or functional. So let's just go back to our VS Code. And by the way, before you start, I just wanna say, could you please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already? I would highly appreciate that. Thank you so much, this means a lot to me. Okay, so for the state management we are going to use context API. So I am not using Redux just because I think this is going to be a very small application, and Redux for such a small application would be an overkill. So instead we will be using context API. However, we will use React hooks along with context API, which is kind of new thing for React. Actually not new, but yeah, not super new, but it is still new. So we will be using hooks like use context, use reducer, so use ref, use state. So these hooks, we will use these hooks, and we will use context API. Okay, we can use context API without hooks, but I think that's just I just want to use hooks because it's just better and easier. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this source folder, and in here we're going to create a folder called context. Okay, and in this context folder I'm going to go, and I don't know why it keeps happening anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna go and create another folder called guest context. Okay, and in this guest context, actually outside this guest context, in this folder context, I'm going to go and create a file called types.js. okay, and then in the guest context, I'll just close it for now. In the guest context, I'm gonna go and create 3 files. Okay, the first one would be G with the capital guest state state.js, and another file would be guest context.js, and then we are going to create another one, reducer, sorry, guest reducer rather, guest reducer.js. okay, and the first we're gonna go into this guest context, and this in here we're going to import create context, and that's going to be from React. Okay, and then we're going to initialize it, so I will just say G with capital, so guest context, and then we will say create context, and then of course we're going to export default, and then we're going to export guest context. Okay, so we are pretty much done with this guest context.js. so next I'm gonna go into this guest state.js, and in here we're going to do RFAC to create a functional component. Okay, so and then next we need to import our context which we just created, so guest context rather, so guest context, and that's going to be from our guest context. Alright, so instead of returning a div here, what we're going to return is basically guest context dot provider. Okay, and this would have profs dot children. okay, and then we need to pass props here up here. Alright, and the next thing I'm gonna go and create our initial state. And for now I'm gonna go and put guests here, and these guests are going to be just for now an empty array. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna go and import here is use reducer hook. Okay, so this is the first hook we are using. So to use any hook we have to be inside the component or function. Okay, so here we're going to say is use no, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. I was meant to do it here just above the return. Okay, so this is going to return state and dispatch, and then we gonna use our use reducer, and then we need to pass our reducer which we haven't imported yet, so let's just import it. So we are going to import guest reducer, which is for now it is empty, but let's just import it. Okay, so import guest reducer, and then we will pass our guest reducer here. So the other thing we're going to pass is initial state. So what happens basically, this whatever is here is gonna get in here, and then we would be able to change through the reducer, which will be done with the dispatch actions, and then it would return here the state. Okay, it will make sense if it is not making now, but I'm pretty sure, I promise you guys it will make sense later on, but I'm just quickly showing you what is happening here. Okay, so next, whatever we want to make available from this state to our application, we need to pass it to through value. Okay, value. Alright, so for now I'm just gonna go and do guests, and this is going to be state dot guests. Okay, so because the guests are here, and then they're gonna come here. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is wrap our whole application with this guest state. Alright, so now I'm gonna go into our index.js, which is here, and then we're going to not index, what I'm doing, app.js. That's okay, so let's just import a guest state. So that's going to be guest state, that's going to be from components, context, and then in context guest context, and then guest state. Let's do guest state, and as I said, we are going to wrap everything, which means the main div as well. Okay, so we're going to wrap with everything with guest state, and then close it, and I'm gonna cut this closing tag and put just below this div tag. Sorry if my voice is too low, I lost my voice the other day, so it's okay, so alright, so now we have wrapped our whole application in this guest state. So if I go back to my UI, so here we have this journal which is totally static. So instead of this, I just want to put some guests in our state for now, and then we wanna render those guests into our UI. So what I'm gonna go and do, basically copy paste some guests, because I'm too lazy to type them out. so we have about 3 guests here, and each of guest has an ID, name, and then phone number, and then dietary, and then is confirmed, which is I should have done is attending, or yeah, anyways, is confirmed is attending basically. Okay, so this is what each guest has. Okay, so to make it available to our application, so we already done guests, so they will be available. Okay, so now what I'm gonna go, and actually let's just close these. I'll keep these one open. I'll close the reducer for now. So I'll just go back into our components. Okay, and then in components we're gonna go into guests. Okay, and then in the guest we need to go into our guests, I believe. So this is where when we are where we need to use our state. So with hooks, what we can do is use a React hook, which is use context. Alright, and the next thing we need to import our context, whichever context we are using, we need to import that context. Okay, so there can be multiple context in one application. So we're gonna go to level up and then into context, and then in our guest context folder, and then in our guest context file. So in here, instead of this single guest, actually sorry, we need to do this. So now we have this use context. So as I was saying before, so with each hook we have to be inside the component. Okay, so here we're gonna do is const, and because we are putting this guests into this value, it would be available. Okay, so through this use context. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and do destructuring. Sorry guys, destructuring. So I'm gonna go and grab our guests. So that's going to be from, so we'll use context, and we will put our guest context with capital G, actually guest context in here, so it will grab those guests. Alright, so now as we have access to those guests, so I'm gonna go and put curly braces here and do guests, and on guests I'm gonna go and do a map, and for each guest what we want to do is basically return a guest component. Right, so as we have and for key we can just put what I'm doing, I'm sorry, I do a lot of typos guys. So for key we can do guest.id, because each guest has a different ID, unique ID. Okay, so if we go back to our UI, we're gonna have 3 John Doe. Alright, that's because we have 3 guests, and for each guest it is returning one guest component. So next I'm gonna go and do guest, and then we're going to pass guest to this prop. Okay, and then save it, and now I'm gonna go and close this and go into our guest.js, which is single guest. So where instead of here hard-coded name and then our badge and then hard-coded phone number, what we're going to do is basically return those values, grab those values from our state guests. Okay, and we can do props here and then do the destructuring down here. So instead I'm gonna go and do destructuring here and then do the guest up over here, and I'm gonna go and do further destructuring, and we would need ID we would need later, but okay, anyways. Okay, so name we need food, and we need dietary, and what else we need is confirmed. Yes, we would need that, and is confirmed, and that's gonna come from our guest, which is this. Okay, so now we have these, so let's just put this name here, instead of this hard-coded John Doe, I'm gonna put name, and then instead of this non-veg hard-coded, we're going to put dietary, and then in here we're going to change this number with phone, and I hope this would work fine. So let's just check. So there we go. Alright, so something went wrong with the guest. I will check, sorry, badge. So anyways, we are getting those names and numbers from our state. Okay, so let's see what happened with the badge, and that is because we have wrong spelling. So as I said, I do a lot of typos, guys, so please bear with me. Okay, so this DIT D, are these one correct? I'll actually copy paste these ones so we don't make another error. So I'll just do this here. Okay, and then change this to so go back, there we go. Right, so you may have already noticed, so all of these badges are red color. In our original application they are different color. They are like for vegan they are green, and then for pescatarian they are kind of bluish, and for non-veg they are red. Okay, and the other thing, but yeah, so we're gonna do next we're gonna do some conditional class names rendering probably. So let's just do, I'll do the confirmed one first. So say if we go back to our application and mark this one, it is actually already true. Okay, so alright, so these two are true, so I'll change this one to false. We keep just one. Alright, so these two are false and this one is true, so this should have a different style for this one. Okay, for this confirm, I think it is p tag and then this I tag. Okay, right, so now I'm gonna go back into our guest.js, and for this label here we're gonna go and do a class name, and we're gonna go and put curly braces here and do a backtick. Alright, and then next thing we are going to check is confirmed, so money sign and then is confirmed, and if that is the case, if it is true, then we want to give it here a class called confirm, which is coming from my CSS, by the way. Right, and we are also going to change this to we'll put curly braces around these classes as well. So for this I tag, so and we do this pretty much same thing, backticks, and then we will just copy paste these exactly same. Alright, and we will save it and go back and check, and now this has different style than these two because it is true, so it is confirmed, so this has a different style. Okay, so our I tag and plus this, I believe it is p tag, so sorry, label, so the both label and I tag, they have a different style accordingly. Okay, so the next thing, which is also a conditional rendering, which for this these badges we want to have a different color for different dietary. Okay, so let's just go back. So for this span we are going to put parentheses, curly braces around these classes, and we want to have a badge class for all of them, so we're gonna keep that, but we will remove, I already removed the red one. So and here we are going to check the conditions. Okay, so we're gonna go and put the parentheses here, and here we're going to check the dietary. If it is equal to non-veg, Okay, so then what we want to just check, and in that case we want to give it red. Alright, and then we're gonna do the same thing and we're gonna check another condition. Alright, so I'll just actually not just do dietary again, and here we will check if it is vegan, and then if that is the case, then we wanna give it a class I think it's green. And if none of these match, then the last case would be we just want to do a sea green. Alright, so save it and go back and check. So now they have different styles. Okay, so this is conditional styling. Alright, so now I'm gonna go and close this for now. And the next see this table, this is basically a component which is going to show the numbers of invited guests by their diet type and plus the total. Okay, and also it is going to divide attending and invited. Alright, so it's gonna give us some number. Okay, so for now it is totally hard coded, so let's just handle this one because this is going to be the simplest component, I would say, because where it is, so guest counter, because I could put these numbers these values into the state and then some functions over there are put into the state and then grab those numbers from the state. So I just don't want to do it. I just want to make it so simple because all it is doing is showing some statistic. Okay, so some numbers, so I don't want to make it so hard for our application, because if the more stuff you put in the state, it's going to be slightly slower. Okay, so it's better not to put if you don't have to. Right, however, we need to have access to our guests from our state, so I'm gonna use the use context again, similar way we did in the last one. So here we're going to import our guest context, and that's going to be from to level up and then into context, and then and then into our guest context, and then into guest context.js. Alright, and then we're going to grab our guests in similar way, so we will use guest context, and then we will pass our guest context, use context, and we will pass our guest context. So here what I'm going to do is basically create few constant, and the first one I'm going to name it maybe total invited. Okay, invited, in what I'm doing sorry, I was slightly lost I lost my vision. Okay, so now we're gonna grab our guests, and then we need the length of guest. Okay, so length. Alright, so this will give us the total number of the guests, because guests is an array, and this will give us length of the array. Okay, so in this total invited. Alright, so next we would need our attending guests, so attending. Alright, so I'll just say attending anyways. So now we're gonna go and do a map on guests, and if in the map I was to make a filter, and in the filter we're going to check a condition here, and for each guest we want to return the guest which is confirmed for true. Confirmed. So so this will return the only one with is confirmed true value, so they are the attending guests. Okay, so we can do that. And however, we need the length of them, so we will just say we need attending for another one, so I'm just keeping the attending array, and then here we will say total attending. I hope I am spelling it correct, and then length. Okay, so this will give us, the first one will give us total guests, and this will give us the confirmed or total attending guests. Okay, so and the next thing which I want to do is basically a function. Okay, because we would need total by date. Okay, so I'll just make it up. I'm just making it up, by the way. Total by date type, like the type of the date, and but we will just pass the type here. Okay, and then here we're gonna go and do guests, and then we can do another filter here, and for each guest we are going to check a condition where we're going to check if the guest dot dietary is strictly equal to type we are passing in. Okay, so this will give us that, and then we need length of that. Okay, so next I'm gonna go actually copy paste it down, and then we will do total or invited by date or confirmed by date. I don't know, no, sorry, this would be total, and I'll change this to invited, and change this one to attending to sorry guys. So okay, so instead of this, we on guest we are going to do it on attending, the same thing, but we are doing on this array. Okay, so this one, because this would have just the with the is confirmed true value. Okay, so this is all we need. Okay, so now I'm gonna go down here, and in this total instead of this hard coded number, I'm gonna go and put this total invited, and then total attending. Okay, and then these are the actually I'll just, and here we are going to pass invited by date, and then we will pass our type, and that would be pescatarian. I hope I'm spelling is correct. I don't know. Okay, I'll just copy paste it down and change this to attending by date, and then we can just do the copy paste here, change this to non-veg, and change this to vegan, and then we will copy this one and change this to non-veg, and vegan, and save it and hope for the best. Okay, so alright, now we have 2.2, for some reason it is showing 0 here, but the total is correct. Okay, so we need to, I think it is the spelling. Let me just quickly check. Yep, there was spelling. So just change the spelling, fix the spelling. Now we have, so we have only one non-veg marked to true, so this is why it is showing just 1 here, and then 0 0, and then total is 1, but we have one invited of each, so this is showing 3, so which means we are getting the correct numbers. Okay, so that's that. It is very simple component. Okay, so nothing fancy, really simple. Okay. I'll just close this, and next what I want to do is basically what I want to do next. Just do this one. Okay, so when we click this, so it should show just the confirmed one or attending one only. Okay, so let's just do that. So what I'm gonna go and do, go back into our guest state, and just above this guests I'm gonna go and create filter guests. Yeah, filter guest would work. So so it will be false by default. Okay, and save it. Right, so then we need to toggle it. Okay, so but we need to, when we need to change the state, we need our action, which will be sent through this dispatch. Okay, so now we are going to create our first action. Okay, so let's just go into this types, and here I'm gonna go and actually copy paste one of the type. So this type here, so we're gonna use this type to toggle our filter. Alright, so now we need to import our types, so let's just do import, and that's going to be from where level up types. Alright, so let's just, now we have this type, which is just a variable, by the way, and then just below this and above the return, we are going to create our very first action. Alright, so I'll just say const, and we will say toggle filter, or yeah, toggle filter, I don't know, I'm just making it up, guys. Alright, so toggle filter, and that's going to do a dispatch, and in the dispatch we would need a type, and that for the type we're gonna give it a toggle filter. Alright, so this wouldn't have any payload, because all it is doing is toggling the filter. Okay, so while I'm here, so as I said previously, whatever we need to use in our state, we need to pass through the value. So here we would need to pass this toggle filter, so we will do this here, and then I'm gonna go and copy paste this into our reducer. Right, and the reducer is going to be export default, and that's gonna be an arrow function, which what I'm doing, okay, which is going to have, oops, sorry, which is going to have a state, and instead of action I'll just destructure actually, so I'll just do type and payload. So and within this function we are going to do JavaScript switch, and we will switch and we'll check by type. Okay, and then first I want to do the default, and by default what we're going to do is return state. Alright, let's just do that. Alright, so the first case is going to be basically this toggle filter case. Okay, so if oops, what I'm doing, just copy this and paste it. This is what I was supposed to do. Okay, a lot of typos, guys, sorry. So here we're going to return a copy of state, because we can't mutate state directly, so we need to have a copy. So and then we going to, what did I call this, we are going to change this filter state, sorry, filter guest to the opposite of state dot filter guest. Okay, so if it is false it would be true, if it is true then it would be false. Okay, so to check it, what we can do is basically I can come down here and do a console log, and we can do state dot guest filter, I believe, was it guest filter, filter guest, sorry. Okay, filter guest. Alright, this is what happens when you make up stuff and you don't remember. Okay, so that's filter, like why is it not showing up? So where we want to attach this to this. Okay, so this toggle button or checkbox which is in this guest filter. So we're gonna use the same thing here. We're going to use context, and then we're going to import our guests context, and that's going to be from our context, and then guest context, and then guest context.js. Okay, and then we're gonna go here, and this time we are gonna grab our toggle filter function, or rather action, and that's going to use context. Lot of typos. Okay, use context, and then we will pass guest context, and then we're going to attach to this our input, and we're going to do an on change, and for on change we are gonna do an inline function, and that will do toggle filter. Okay, actually parentheses as well, sorry, and save it. And if I open up my console, right, so true, false, true, false, true, false, so this means it's working fine. Okay, so let's just close this, and then I'm gonna go back and remove this console log, because I know I'm gonna forget if I don't. So where is it? So this here. Alright, and now we need to pass this filter guest to our value. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it up here. So filter guest, and that's going to be state dot filter guest. Okay, then put the comma because we would need this. Okay, so now, as I said previously, when we do this, we just want to see this confirmed one. Okay, so this is another thing which is I'm going to make a simple one, because I could do I could just put here attending guest or something, and then we could just put all those, could filter those guests and put it here, and then we can just conditionally render in our guests. But I'm just gonna go and make it simple and then do the conditional rendering directly into our guests. Okay, so here, as we already have this use context and then our guest context, so all we need to is grab again I forgot why I'm forgetting this one. Okay, filter guest. Alright, no more forgetting. Okay, filter guest. Alright, so see, here we are doing a map. So just before this map, I want to do a filter. Okay, so I just want to do a dot filter, because we can just attach them. Okay, so we can just do filter, and then we can do on that filter we can do a map, or other way around. So they are really powerful. So here we're going to check two things. The first thing, we are going to check if filter guest is not like the filter is not on. Okay, so which means the filter guest is, if it is false then it is off, if it is true then it is on, so which means we will need to do the opposite. Okay, so here we will do that, and the other thing we will do check or is confirmed, and then do the map. Otherwise we can just do the we can just ignore this filter and do the same thing we've been doing already. Okay, so let's just check now. So see, so if the filter is on, so then it is showing this is confirmed only. Okay, so just because the first condition, I'm sorry what I'm doing. So if I why is it opposite? Because we in the state we have it by default it is false, so when we turn it to true then it becomes true here, but we want it false here. Okay, so otherwise it will be working opposite. Okay, so then it will check is confirmed, and then on the is confirmed it will do the map. Okay, so only is confirmed. If there are multiple, say if there were 2 to 3 is confirmed, then they will say, or just quickly change one of them as another one actually. So change this one as well. So okay, and do this. Now we have 2. Okay, and then these numbers change here as well. So the next thing which I want to do is this, when we type here, so whatever we type by the name, so we can filter out with this. Okay, so pretty similar thing, but now I will put this in this state. Okay, because this is why I decided not to put this one in the state, because they will be similar. So I just wanted to show you both. So that's that. Okay, and I'm gonna actually close them up because they are looking so messy, all of them open. Okay, so I'm gonna go in this state and I'll just name it maybe we'll do a search. So the search one, by default it will be null because we wouldn't have any guests in the search by default. Okay, so we want to change this whenever we start typing it, we want to change this to have some guests in here. Okay, so let's just go in the types, and in here I'm gonna go actually copy paste two types. Okay, search guest and clear search. So I'll just copy this one and paste it here, and also this one, clear search. Save it and paste it here. Alright, so now we need to create two actions for each of them. So the first one we will create for search guest. Okay, so just probably just below this one actually. So we will do search guest, maybe search guest. Okay, and this would have guest, of course, and here we will do a dispatch, and in the dispatch we will have a type of sorry, not this one, the other one. Was it search guest? Yes. Okay, and the payload would be guest. And while I'm here, I just want to do the clear one as well, so just do quickly that one as well. So we will say clear search, and this wouldn't have any payload. All it is going to reset the search. Okay, whatever is in the search. So the type would be clear search. Alright, and then as I said, it won't have any payload, so just simple one. And now we can just put these one just below these. Alright, so do search guest, so they are available in our application. Clear search. And next I want to go into our reducer, and actually I'll just copy paste these one. Right, and then just do here, go paste here, and now we're going to have another case, not above this switch. Okay, so we're going to have another case here, and the case would be search guest. Alright, and here we're going to return whatever is in the state. So state, copy of state, and then actually just before we return we need to create a regex. Okay, so I'll just do a const reg, and here we're going to do a new regex regular expression. So for the value we will be looking by name, which is gonna come from payload. Okay, so I'll just put here payload, and we want to do a comma gi as well. Okay, so save it. So now we would have this regex, okay, stored into this constant reg whatever. Okay, and now we're going to change our search, which by default is null. Okay, so we're gonna do state dot guests dot filter, and we wanna map through filter through, and then we wanna do a condition here, and the condition would be guest dot name, dot match, and oops, not name match, and match is going to be whatever is here, okay, in this reg, right? So that's that. And now I also want to do the other case, which is clear search, which is going to exactly that, like clear the search, right? So return, we're going to return a copy of state, and then we're going to clear the search back, so by putting our search back to null, right? So this is what it would do. Right, so now if we go and close these one up, okay, I'll just, do I have everything? Yep, toggle, we don't have search, yes, no, we don't have search. Okay, so I'm gonna go and put search and do state dot search, then do here and save it. And now we're gonna go into guest search .js, okay, and in here we are going to import two hooks, use context of course, and then use ref, alright, which is going to be another new React hook in this project. Okay, so let's just do that basically. Alright, so I'm gonna go and create a constant. I will name this search value maybe, okay, and this is going to be use ref, and by default we're gonna do nothing, okay, and we're gonna go and reference to this input. Okay, so we're gonna do is ref, and then we're gonna give a reference to search value. Alright, and now above this I'm gonna go and create, we're gonna go and grab our actions, believe, what are they, these two, search guest, and I'll just copy paste before I make another typo. Alright, so I get, so I'll just use context, and then we need to of course import our context as well. So that's going to be import guest context, and that's going to be from to level up into context, and then into guest context, oops, guest context, and then into guest context.js, and we need to pass it here, guest context, and save it. Alright, so now we're gonna do an on change on this input as well. So let's just do that, on change, and for on change we will say, I don't know, handle change maybe, okay, and do the handle change here, const handle change, which is going to be have an event. Right, so here we're going to do an if condition, and we're going to check if the search value, which is this, okay, and if that has its current dot value, because it is an object, okay, so its current dot value dot, sorry, is search value dot current dot value is not equal to nothing, okay, then what we want to do is do our search guest. Alright, and for the search guest we are going to use e dot target dot value, so whatever is value of this input, okay, in here. So we will use that value. Else we want to do not L else we want to do clear search, okay, clear search if it is empty. So that's that. So let's just close it basically, and now we're gonna go back to our guests, and here we're gonna bring our search, which is search, and now we're gonna do another condition here. So just bring it down. So here we're gonna see if search is not equal to null. Okay, if that is not the case, then what we want to do is basically we wanna return we wanna do a search dot map and do the exactly the same thing we've been doing here. Copy, then paste it, and if that is null, then we will do the same thing we've been already doing. Okay, so I missed the map, save it. So just to reiterate, so if there is something in this search, so we will do a map on search only, we won't do a map on guests. Okay, so if I go back to state, see we have guests and then we have search. Right, so if there is anything in the search, it won't do a map on this, instead it would do the map on this and then return a guest, single guest component against it. Okay, I hope this is making sense. So let's just close it. I shouldn't have closed, actually I should have checked before I. So see here, actually we'll just do the marry me. So as soon as we type m, whatever it has m, so m, Jack Smith has m and Mary Smith has m, so it is coming up. Okay, so we do if we do as a z or z, so it's gonna come as the Hani Idris. Okay, so alright, pretty long video. Okay, so what we have done so far is basically some conditional styling, and then this table, and then make this work, and then also make this both of these filter, basically pretty much this filter and this filter, search filter, both are working. So in the next video what we will do is basically our kind of CRUD, we will add, remove, edit, update. Alright, so I'll see you in the next part. And before you go, subscribe. Okay, remember, please subscribe, it is very important. Alright, thank you.